If you're a Mass Effect fan, you should probably be looking at Bethesda because chances are you won't be seeing Mass Effect 4 or 5 anytime soon. And if that's the case, you're gonna have to open up your mind and consider something different, something new, something more. But if you're a Mass Effect fan, that shouldn't be difficult for you because chances are you probably like sci-fi as a whole. And if you're a Mass Effect fan, the very idea of meeting new cultures has you interested. You probably love conflicts, factions, lore, and stories. And if that's the case, then pay attention please. If you're a Mass Effect fan and you're looking for the next true next-gen sci-fi space RPG, then ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Bethesda's Starfield. Let's talk story and location. The year is 2330 and the story takes place 50 light years away from our solar system in a region known as the Settled Systems. 20 years prior in our current timeline, the two largest factions in the Settled Systems, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective, engaged in a bloody colony war. With heavy losses on both sides and for reasons we'll understand later, a ceasefire was initiated, which then led to an strained, uneasy peace. Many threats are still out there, and you'll have to be wise in how you navigate through these factions, obstacles, and wildlife. And speaking of you, let's talk about you. You belong to the organization known as Constellation, which is committed to uncovering the mysteries of the galaxy. One of those mysteries being who left behind the technology that allowed humanity to reach faster than light travel in the first place. Basically the species that kickstarted this whole universe. Which indirectly answers the most important question: are we really alone? No. Seems we weren't before, but things might be different now. Anyway, that's a whole different story. Constellation. And as one of its newest members, you find yourself at home interacting with various factions. Elliptic mercenaries, pirates of the Crimson Fleet, violent spacers, or the fanatical religious zealots of House of Haru. You choose to engage in dialogue with these groups or choose the violent route. But sometimes it's not really up to you, because sometimes people just don't like you. Sometimes the wrong things are said, and sometimes things just happen. These things just happen. But enough about violence, let's focus on the actual story. Well, there's none, just a few tidbits here and there. But this is a Bethesda game, so you'll be able to likely side with either the United Colonies or the Freestar Collective, and possibly decide the future of the Settled Systems. Rest assured, the uneasy peace is likely to be broken by members on both sides. Who's to say you don't locate the device that gives one side the edge in this upcoming war? Who's to say your actions don't start the civil war? Who's to say you're not the architect of everyone's destruction? And while roaming the Settled Systems and making these life-changing decisions, you also have multiple factions to deal with, and the interesting thing here is these factions are not necessarily interested in your Constellation story, where are the aliens or when doomsday is coming. They're more concerned with their political and local issues, and you might have to participate in their games to get the job done. You might have to off a few people you're cool with to reach your objective. You might have to be an informant and stab trusted friends in the back. Because as a member of Constellation, you understand the bigger picture. But maybe you want to keep your morals intact, and that's fine. But understand this: there will always be consequences to every decision you make. Life is not black and white. It's not even grey. It's just messy. You'll meet these factions in various locations, such as the Pleasure City of Neon, which was built by the Xenofresh Corporation, originally to catch fish. Once a certain fish was found to have psychotropic properties, well, things changed quickly, as it became more valuable to sell said fish in the form of a drug, the only place in the galaxy where it's legal to consume. But that doesn't mean the city is one of sin. It's just a city filled with many pleasures that are afforded to you. And you're bound to come across powerful figures in the galaxy looking to accept what the city has to offer. I imagine the connections you make here will be pivotal in moving certain story points forward. I imagine you bump heads with certain individuals who want you permanently gone. Moving on from Neon, we have New Atlantis, which is a spaceport and capital of the United Colonies, the most powerful military and political factions in the game. It's said to be the melting pot of all races, but maybe that statement is deceptive, as it could be equally be described as a salad bowl in certain locations. That's something we'll have to ascertain ourselves. And the key word that I said earlier is political. Don't be surprised if you get involved in power plays with warring factions within the government. And don't be surprised if you end up changing the face of the city based on the actions or inactions you take. What was once blue can be red. Moving on, we have Aquila, which is the capital of the Freestar Collective. It's a 3-star system with one thing in common: they all value individual freedom, which of course will be tested at some points during the game. I'll speak on this more in another video, but when freedom is emphasized, there's always a fine line on what is actually your right and what's just malicious and taking the piss. So to sum it all up, essentially what I've just described is various factions with fundamental differences, cities created with different ethos in mind. When you have that type of diversity mixing together, the potential stories you're bound to come across is endless. You don't need a different species to necessarily make things interesting. Humanity in itself is diverse enough to actually give you a compelling adventure. And that's what Starfield is looking to give you. These are just some of the factions, cities, and potential stories you'll come across in the game. But rest assured, there's more. This is a Bethesda game, so understand there's a large emphasis on you telling your story. There's a large emphasis on side missions and interacting with the world. And with over 3 times more dialogue than Skyrim, and confirmation each conversation will feel more natural due to the emphasis on persuasion, it's all but confirmed that interaction will play a crucial role in this game. Do you want to talk gameplay? Let's talk gameplay. Then ladies and gentlemen, let's talk gameplay. Do you want to talk gameplay? There is no gameplay. If you're a Mass Effect fan and you're looking for the next true next-gen sci-fi space RPG, then ladies and gentlemen, Starfield